The spotlight effect. Why nobody noticed the thing you're still embarrassed about is proof that your worst memory lives rent-free in your head and nowhere else. Think of the thing. You know the one. The sentence that came out wrong, the trip on the stairs, the moment your voice cracked in a room full of people. You've replayed it 100 times, and every time you're certain everyone saw it. Everyone remembers it. Everyone is still somehow thinking about it. Here's the strange part. They're not. Not because they're being kind, not because they're politely pretending, because they genuinely, physically never registered it in the first place. There's a specific reason your brain does this to you. Psychologists gave it a name, and then they proved it with a t-shirt. Not a metaphor. An actual t-shirt, worn by real students, in a real room, measured down to the exact percentage. What they found says something uncomfortable about how alone you are inside your own embarrassment, and something quietly freeing. Stay with the number. The number is the whole story. Not a percentage you'll forget, a percentage that follows you home. It shows up everywhere once you learn to see it. You type a message, delete it. Sure, the other person watched the little bubble appear and vanish. You mispronounce one word in a meeting and feel your face go hot, convinced the whole table clocked it. You wear the same jacket twice in a week and assume someone is keeping a tally. You walk into a party and feel every eye land on you at the door. None of it is happening the way you think. Your message dropped into a feed of 100 others. The table forgot the word instantly because they were rehearsing what they'd say next. Nobody counted your jacket. And the eyes at the door? They glanced, registered a person, and turned back to their own conversation before you'd finished taking off your coat. You are the main character of your own life. To everyone else, you are an extra with one line. That's the whole illusion in one sentence. You feel like a spotlight. You look like scenery. So here's the experiment that measured it. In the year 2000, psychologists Thomas Gilovich, Victoria Medvec, and Kenneth Savitsky published a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. At Cornell, they brought in one student at a time and handed them a t-shirt. On the front, a large photo of Barry Manilow. They picked Manilow on purpose. For that group of students, he had been pre-tested as reliably, mildly embarrassing to be seen wearing. The student pulled the shirt on. Then the researchers walked them into a room where other students were already seated, quietly filling out forms. Just a few awkward seconds. Then they pulled the wearer back out into the hallway and asked one simple question. How many people in that room could tell me who is on your shirt? The student had to commit to a number, and every one of them felt it. That hot flush of being seen, the certainty that the shirt was the loudest thing in the room. One student, one shirt, one number that would outlive them all. The wearers guessed, on average, that 46% of the room could name the face on their chest. Nearly half. Then the researchers checked the real number. They asked the people who had actually been sitting in that room. 23%. Barely a quarter. And it gets sharper. Many of the observers who did glance at the shirt could not recall it at all afterward. Some could not even agree on its color. The person wearing it had felt a spotlight burning straight down. The room saw a shirt, maybe for a second, and moved on with their afternoon. That gap, 46 against 23, is not a rounding error. It is the precise measurement of a lie your brain tells you every single day. You believe you are being watched roughly twice as closely as you actually are. And remember, that is on a day the shirt was chosen specifically to be noticed. Imagine the gap on an ordinary Tuesday. Two people, one shirt, two completely different rooms. Only one of them had a spotlight in it. Why does the brain do this to you? It isn't vanity, it's a shortcut. And the shortcut has a name: anchoring and adjustment. Here is how it runs. You are the only person who experiences your life from the inside. You feel the heat rise in your own face. You hear your own voice crack in high definition. You have a front row, surround sound, unavoidable seat to your own embarrassment. So when your brain tries to estimate how visible you are to other people, it starts from that anchor, your own vivid, overwhelming, inescapable experience. Then it is supposed to adjust downward to account for the fact that nobody else is living inside your skull. And it does adjust, just nowhere near enough. You begin at 100% and inch grudgingly down to 50. The truth sits closer to 20. The mind cannot fully step out of its own point of view. It's the one room it can never quite leave. You are always the loudest thing in your own head. That's the trap, and the whole world is caught in it with you. Now here is where it grows bigger than a t-shirt. Gilovich and his team did not stop at embarrassing shirts. They ran it again with flattering ones, shirts students were actually proud to wear. Same result. People overestimated how much others noticed the good stuff too. Then they moved to group conversations. They found people overestimate how much others notice when they say something clever, and how much others notice when they stumble. It runs in both directions at once, which means the spotlight isn't just trailing your worst moments. It's a permanent illusion coloring everything you do, every outfit, every opinion you shared or swallowed, every time you spoke up, and every time you stayed silent. And if the spotlight is always this wrong, a harder question opens underneath it. How many of your choices right now today are being quietly shaped by an audience that was never actually watching? Sit with that. The stage lights you fear may be pointed at an empty chair. Think about what that illusion costs you. You skip the dance class because you'd look clumsy in front of strangers who would forget you in 90 seconds flat. You don't raise your hand because someone might think the question is stupid, in a room where everyone else is too busy praying they don't get called on. You rehearse a 2-line text for 20 minutes, terrified of one wrong word, then send it to a person who reads it once and moves on with their day. The spotlight effect doesn't only make you wince about the past, it quietly steers your decisions in the present. It builds a fence around your life, and the fence is made entirely of an audience that mostly isn't there. Every single what will people think is a bet. And the odds are almost always tilted in your favor, because most people, most of the time, are thinking about themselves. That fence has a name too. It's called your comfort zone, and it was built by imaginary witnesses. Fear of an audience. That's all that fence ever was, and the audience had already gone home. Here's the twist that makes the whole thing click. The reason nobody is watching you closely isn't indifference. It's that they are trapped inside the exact same illusion you are. The person you're certain is judging your jacket is busy agonizing over their own hair. The colleague you think caught your slip is replaying their own slip from an hour earlier. Everyone in that room is the star of their own private film. And in every one of those films, you are background. This is the quiet symmetry almost nobody notices. You are not the audience anyone thinks they're performing for. And nobody is the audience you think you're performing for. It's a room full of people, each one convinced the spotlight is fixed on them, each one barely registering everyone else. The stage is crowded, genuinely packed. But every performer up there is playing their heart out to an empty house. No villain here, no cruelty, just 7 billion people, each starring in a movie you were never cast in. So the next time you feel watched, look closer. Every watcher is staring at their own reflection, not at you. The crowded room, the empty house, both true at once. That's the strange arithmetic of being human. So is this a flaw? A glitch to be quietly fixed? Not exactly. The same wiring that traps you is the wiring that kept your ancestors alive. For almost all of human history, we lived in small groups, where reputation was literally survival. Being watched, judged, and remembered by your tribe genuinely mattered. If the group turned against you, you did not make it to spring. So the brain built a smoke alarm, and it tuned it to be oversensitive on purpose. Far better to assume everyone is watching and behave well, than to assume nobody cares and get cast out of the only group you had. The spotlight effect is that ancient alarm, still faithfully running in a modern world of strangers who will never see your face again. It isn't broken, it's just calibrated for a village of 40 people, and you're carrying a village-sized alarm through a city of millions. Of course it keeps going off. A city of millions wired for a village of 40. The math was never going to work in your favor. And it's worth being precise here because the pop psychology version oversells it badly. The spotlight effect does not mean nobody ever notices you, or that you can behave however you like with zero consequence. People do see you. First impressions are real and they matter. The point is narrower and far more useful than a flat nobody cares. It's that you systematically overestimate both the intensity and the duration of the attention you get. They might notice. They almost never notice as much, or for as long, as you quietly fear. The research also suggests the effect shrinks when you deliberately stop and picture the scene from the other person's chair. Not always. Not like flipping a switch, but often enough to matter. The illusion loosens its grip the moment you remember that other people have an inside too. Just as loud, just as crowded, and just as self-absorbed as yours. Precision matters. Because the honest version of this idea is stronger than the exaggerated one. Truth tends to be. Notice you might, remember you rarely will. That distance is the whole finding, and it's oddly kind. Now go back to that memory. The one you still wince at. The thing you said at 14, or the thing you said last Tuesday. Here's what the number's really telling you. If only 23% of a room could recall a giant photograph on someone's chest minutes after seeing it, how much do you honestly think survives of your small, ordinary stumble, weeks or years down the line? The honest answer is close to nothing. The moment that has lived inside you for a decade, rent-free, taking up prime real estate in your mind, was deleted from everyone else's memory before they'd even reached their car. You have been curating a museum, a whole careful exhibition of your worst seconds, and you are the only visitor who ever walks through. You kept the lights on for years. You printed the little plaques. Nobody else ever bought a ticket. Meanwhile, the people from that memory have replayed 1,000 of their own. Yours was never on their list. So try this as a small experiment on yourself. Next time you feel the heat climb up your neck, that flat certainty that everyone saw, run the number. Ask yourself, if the real figure for a bright Barry Manilow t-shirt was 23%, what on earth is the real figure for this? Then take your gut estimate and cut it in half. Then cut it in half again. That's not a trick to make you feel nice. It's just dragging your guess closer to the truth. Because here's the line worth keeping. You are not the main character in anyone else's story. And that isn't loneliness. Read it again. That is freedom. The audience you have spent years performing for, apologizing to, shrinking in front of, was never sitting in those seats. The theater was empty the entire time, which means you can walk out on that stage and do the thing anyway. Nobody's keeping score. They're all too busy watching themselves. Half of 23 is small. Half of that is almost nothing. That's roughly where the truth has been waiting. Nobody's keeping score. Say it again until it lands. Nobody is keeping score. The thing you're still embarrassed about? It's yours. Yours alone. Not because the world was cruel enough to hold on to it. Because the world was never holding it at all. That memory lives in exactly one place. One head, one rent-free room, with a single tenant, and the tenant is you. The one memory you carry, the whole audience, all of it. It only ever existed in one skull. Yours. Tomorrow, when the heat rises in your face again over something nobody else will remember by dinner, you'll know the room is far emptier than it feels. You'll know the spotlight was always yours to dim. So dim it. Let it go quiet. The show you feared was canceled before it ever opened. That embarrassing moment isn't following you through a watching world. It lives rent-free in your head, and nowhere else.